Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And it's Friday, it's a pay-per-view weekend, you know what that means. Predictions. It's time for our AEW Full Gear 2023 predictions. It's going to be a fun show, but, to break down a fun show, we need a fun panel. So let's kick things off with the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. Clark, how are you today?
What's going on, Ben? I'm freaking stoked to be here. As usual, it's Friday. It's a pay-per-view weekend. It's in LA. Unfortunately, I'm going to a wedding. Shout out Mark Hardkey. Congratulations as well. But also, another shout out I have. I'm excited about Full Gear, but I'm much more excited about it's my mama's birthday. Shout out Lori Taylor. Love you, mama. Happy birthday. And cannot wait for dinner tonight. But before we do that, can't wait to get into our predictions for Full Gear. Let's get to it, Ben.
Absolutely, and yes, absolutely. Happy birthday, Clark's mum. Now, next up, we have the head of Opinion at Wrestling Republic, Anthony Ricciardi. Wait, sorry, 1 second. Very quickly, first, we've also got Josh Markowitz. Josh, how are you today?
What's up, Ben? I'm doing great. I'm always stoked to be on the daily broadcast, but when it's a pay-per-view weekend, it's a different feeling. It's a different energy. I am stoked to be here. Full Gear is set to be an unbelievable pay-per-view, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Also, happy birthday to Clark's mom. Hope you have a great one and enjoy dinner.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, the head of Opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing all right, Ben. I asked everybody so they know. I asked Ben for me to go last on this. I have something that I wanted to say, kind of an announcement. I know there are a lot of Tonys in wrestling make announcements. They don't always live up to the hype, but I think I have one that will kind of pop, especially Clark and Ben. But before I get to that, happy birthday to Clark's mom. About a week ago, I had an opportunity to make an investment. I now own, or quote unquote, own a professional sports team. Clark, could you do the two panel with Clark, because this is
not the Packers, right?
No, not the Packers.
There we are. Yeah.
All right, close enough. All right, Clark, you will appreciate this. The team that I now own is the Orange County Soccer Club, literally 20 minutes away from me. So the next time I'm out,
part of the ownership, we're going to a game. That is outstanding. That's hilarious.
Yeah. That is absolutely gold.
Iconic. The OC suck. We're going to a game for sure.
Oh,
yeah, and gear.
And I'm glad you chose the real football as well, not the fake one. So I'm proud of you, Anthony.
Well, I chose it because it was the one team that was not a conflict, since they're not in the same league of a Philadelphia team. So that's why I had to go.
Perfect. Non-rival.
Non-rival. There's no conflict. Yes. I couldn't do the Packers. I mean, come on.
That scared me for a second. That's how I was getting nervous.
No. I've
been to Lambeau, but only in a Bears jersey.
When I saw that, I'm going, oh, this is hysterical. Literally 20 minutes from Clark. I'm like, the reason I didn't announce it was because I was waiting for the hat to arrive.
It's too good. It's too good. It's too gold. And I was actually even curious about the backwards hat anyway.
I was as well.
That was the ultimate play. That was brilliant.
I was like, is this, a new style or something?
No.
That is gold.
Golden.
And something else, which I hope will be gold, is Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland tomorrow night, Saturday night, Full Gear. I mean, we've criticized AEW a lot lately. One thing we haven't criticized is this feud. Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland, they had a banger of a match a couple of months ago. I'm sure they're going to have another banger of our match this weekend as well. Hangman Page this week on Dynamite delivered a phenomenal promo. A promo David Sheldon rated 5 stars on the Wrestling Republic scale. And last night as well, Hangman Page attacked Swerve at a Wrestling Revolver event. So this is now a multi-promotional feud as well. And I really liked how they built this up. This is a proper feud. It's personal, and I'm excited for it. But I do not think Hangman Page is going to get the job done this time either. I believe Hangman will lose again. I then think Swerve's going to win one more feud and then go on to MJF. And then I think at World's End, Swerve Strickland will dethrone MJF. Probably with some help from the devil or whatever. But I believe Swerve will be the next AEW champion. And then Hangman will feud with him once again, once he's champion, and then win back the AEW championship. Maybe I'm wrong. My predictions lately haven't had the best record. But I do think Swerve could well be that next champion. Clark, what is your prediction for this one?
I'm so excited for this match. It is, in my eyes, the best storyline going in professional wrestling right this second. And that's not to knock any other storylines. This one is just on another level. That Hangman promo on top of week in and week out, just being excited for it. Last night, I said that this match would be a slugfest. And I don't think it'll be anything short of that. This will be a slugfest. It has to be, because it's a true rivalry that doesn't involve a title. They really don't like each other is what it feels like. And that is golden in storytelling and professional wrestling. It's absolute gold. As far as who goes over, I think Swerve, and I don't want to say needs it more because I'd be nitpicking if I said that, but I think Swerve is hurt less than, Hangman is hurt less than Swerve taking a loss in this one, because it reaffirms Swerve. And I don't know if this isn't the full blow off. I think this has got to be a little bit of a series leading towards the title picture as well. But at least on Saturday, I do believe it's Swerve gets the win over Hangman Page. And both have done such great work. I don't really want it to be over.
Yeah. No, I'll second that, but this is the thing. I don't want it to be over, but I actually kind of do, because they've done it so perfectly. After this match, I'd leave it for a while, right? And then come back to it, and it'll be even better. We'll be begging to get it back then when we get it back in a few months' time, hopefully with a title involved, but we'll have to wait and see. Number 1 Superfly in the comments is saying, I'm predicting Swerve wins this match due to Adam making a mistake, or Prince Nana distracting him with some dancing. You gotta love those Prince Nana dances. You absolutely have to. Internet Wrestling Chief is going for, I'm trying to find it here, Adam Page. Internet Wrestling Chief believes Hangman Adam Page will win this one. Well, Anthony, who do you think will win?
I think this is one of those situations where if they go a trilogy of matches, they may want to split the series. But for this match, and I said this from the first match, I didn't really feel it the first match. Like the build up, I don't think it didn't intrigue me as much. This one is the complete opposite. This is personal. There's a grudge. You can get behind it. There's a story behind it. For me, I think Swerve should go over, because I think it would mean more to him than Hangman. He's a former world champion. He's over. Not to say Swerve's not, but Swerve would probably need the rub of a win more than Hangman would in the grand scheme of things. And to beat Hangman in Hangman's quote unquote match, I think adds a little extra to it.
Absolutely. No, it really, really does. And that's the point which I forgot to mention in the introduction. Of course, this is a Texas death match, which is another reason why I'm excited for this one. This is so personal between the two. And the stipulation, it's going to be violent. It's going to be fun. And I am hyped for it indeed. We got Melissa in the comments. Shout out to Melissa. But Josh, what about you?
Melissa?
Who do you think will be walking out the winner of this one?
Yeah, I actually agree with all three of you guys. You guys all hit the nail on the head there. And look, I mean, I think this is the best storyline going on in AEW right now. Not sure about professional wrestling as a whole, maybe, but definitely AEW right now. And considering what we saw at Wrestle Dream, I mean, in my opinion, that match was perfect. I loved Wrestle Dream, specifically that match though. And I think the way they're building this rivalry is really awesome. It actually reminds me a lot of Triple H and Randy Orton in 2009. We had the home invasion. We had the families kind of getting involved with Swerve talking Hangman's Baby and the whole Randy Orton and Stephanie McMahon thing. So it's kind of reminded me of that, and I like that a lot because that was a great rivalry. And I think this rivalry is really heated up. We had a phenomenal promo from Hangman on Dynamite, and we also had Hangman attacking Swerve, as you mentioned last night at the Revolver Professional Wrestling show, I believe. So, I think, and I want to agree with you guys as well. I'm not saying that Swerve isn't over, but I think that Swerve does get the win, and I think he definitely deserves the win because, Hangman has had his world championship reign. If he loses this match, I don't think he's necessarily just drops down the totem pole. However, I'm ready to see Swerve go for that world championship. We've seen his in-ring skills. We've seen his mic skills, everything about him, his character. It's unbelievable. It's awesome. He's great TV. And I'm ready to see him go for MJF, just like you said in the beginning, Ben. I'm ready to see it happen. So I want to see him defeat Hangman in this death match, in his own match, which would be phenomenal. I'm looking forward to a great match, and I'm ready to see him in the championship picture.
Absolutely. No, I think we all universally agree with that there. My main worry is Swerve will win. Swerve will then go on to face either Orange Cassidy or John Moxley for the International Championship, and then Hangman will cost Swerve the victory. And then they'll run back Hangman Swerve one more time, and then Hangman will get the win, and then it's like, well, where do you go with Swerve? I really do hope it's the world title picture after this, because, I mean, the guy, he's one of the most over acts in the company right now, and he's just, I mean, it's nothing new. We've always known Swerve has potential, but it feels like with this new heel gimmick, he is starting to, get nearer to that point, and I think he deserves it.
To your point, he's earned it. Like it seems that simple in my eyes. The work that Swerve has put in, he's stood out. We talk about AEW signings. We've had a lot of discussion this week specifically about the state of AEW, what the signings, who had impact here and there and the other. It's really funny. It's like, did we not give Swerve his flowers when we maybe should have earlier?
Yeah.
Because he has stood out amongst the bunch, amongst the group, in a way that is really, really hard to, quantify. Like it's really cool in my eyes what he's been able to accomplish, especially it's a big risk leaving. I mean, obviously not his choice, but right. He had the group and he went and did his own thing. And there's something to be said for that, which is cool to me.
In a lot of ways, I like Clark, you and I talked about yesterday with the throwback topic, The Rock finding that character, and that's where he really propelled. I feel Swerve is the same way. He found that inner character, and that's why he's doing the best stuff of his career, because he found that niche. He found that inner thing that he needed to get to that next level.
I agree, and I think to your point, what makes it even more interesting is he wasn't the splashiest signing. We've seen splashier signings for AEW, but he is now. Right?
Exactly.
It's like hindsight's always 20/20, but you look back and you go, "Whoa, what did we miss?"
You look at it like Keith Lee was a big signing for them. They made a big deal about signing Keith Lee.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Keith Lee, but when you look at the comparison, Swerve is leaps and bounds above where Keith Lee should be 100%. In that spot.
And none of us would have made that bet at the time, because they came in around the same time, obviously, and tagged together and won the titles. I mean, that, by the way, is just over a year ago. Think about that. They were in that match with the Acclaimed in Chicago.
And they never paid that feud off.
Yeah, they completely bought. I mean, that is one of that was a huge mistake to not properly, end that feud the way that they should have. But we'll have to hope they end this one the way that they should have. And yeah, he is one of those people, Swerve, where he came into the company and you expected him to once again get lost in the shuffle like he did in WWE. But no, he didn't. And I think you've got to praise him for that, to be honest, as well, because I really think he's done everything he can to, to every little bit of TV time, he'd make the most of it. And I mean, I will say this, I do feel like some former WWE stars, AEW just shouldn't have signed because they just haven't done enough with them to warrant it. But at the same time, maybe they should do more with the minutes that they're given, like Swerve has. I think both of those things can both be true there. But talking about, things which we can speculate on, now let's speculate on who will team with MJF to defend the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships against the Guns of the Bullet Club tomorrow night. This match, I think, could actually be a little bit of a banger, but I am hoping that whoever MJF does team with, they still lose. I'm really hoping MJF teams with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe ends up screwing MJF, walking out on him. Guns get the victory, and then Samoa Joe says afterwards, I said I'd team with you for a title shot. I didn't say we had to win. And that's the twist. And MJF's starting to, not trust anybody again. Maybe he's starting to, second guess if Adam Cole's the devil. And I think that just adds a little bit more spice. Also, of course, then heading into the main event, which we'll talk about later, MJF will be, a little bit hurt. So that could put a bit more of a spin on that one as well. But Clark, what's your prediction for this one?
What if they fully swerve us, no pun intended, since we just talked about Swerve Strickland, and Adam Cole talks Roddy into doing it? Or Adam Cole talks one of those, right? A member of that group into doing it. I would not mind that. I love the Joe theory. And I was not trying to say, like, this is what I think. I've actually spent, like, a long time trying to figure out what to do. And outside of a handicap match or Joe, that's, like, the only other thing I could come up with is what if Adam Cole then, maybe it's Collision or Rampage, tonight, throws Roddy or somebody's name into the mix, another friend, a mutual friend, because that is a way that we can directly, I feel like, link this to the Devil storyline somehow and have some quality shenanigans, not bad ones, some good shenanigans in this match, which the way it's booked already as a handicap match likely needs some shenanigans. So I think that's the route I would go. If it's Joe, that's shenanigans too, right? I'm cool with that. But if there is a surprise, that'd be fun. Have Adam Cole make that announcement, talk somebody into it, make a phone call, something like that Friday night, whether it's Rampage or Collision, and set up that storyline to link to the Devil Mask storyline, of course.
But yeah, no, I think that is, certainly one of the moves that they could do. But do you reckon MJF will retain with his mystery partner, or do you reckon the Guns will walk home as Ring of Honor champs?
I think that he does not retain if he has a partner. I think he does if it's a handicap match.
I really hope you're wrong about that.
I think back to Punk and the Shield, that handicap match. Is an interesting one that I think about. When I think about this. So if it's a handicap match, I think MJF has to retain. Because to have your world champion take a pinfall to the Guns, that's too much for me. If he has a partner, that partner better take the fall or cost them the win in the Joe scenario that it's been laid out. But I mean, what I don't want to see is just MJF get beat down and get pinned, and then it's not right.
If you're gonna do
now, we're telling
an
Uso pinned Roman story. It's like, right? No, like
no, that's
like,
true. That's
Colton
true.
Gunn pinned Max. Like, come on, man.
If they are gonna do a handicap match, like you said, right? If they are gonna do that, then it's got to be very simply the Guns. It's 50-50, but MJF's just about getting the job done, and then Jay White screws MJF ahead of the main event. And then the Guns went from that. That's how to do it. But no way should the Guns lose if it's a handicap match, because these guys are former AEW tag team champions, and that tag team division is meant to mean something in this company. And they're starting to get a little bit close to where it used to be again. They cannot have the Guns lose this if it is a handicap match. But now let's move on and let's talk about the trios division. Let's talk about Sting. Of course, he's retiring in a few months' time. Well, he will be teaming once again with Darby Allin and Adam Copeland, the artist formerly known as Edge, to take on his Edge's longtime best friend and tag team partner, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne tomorrow night, Full Gear AEW. Here's my issue with this one, right? This storyline, in a very weird way, seems to have gotten worse since Adam Copeland arrived. And I'm not blaming Adam Copeland here, but think about it, right? Right up until Adam Copeland arrived in AEW, what was it that we were talking about on this show every week? Usually twice a week. Christian Cage, the father storyline he was doing. We've not really seen much of it since Adam Copeland's arrived in the company. We really haven't. It kind of seems like all the spotlight's gone on him. Christian Cage has gotten far little, TV time. They've not been able to develop that storyline between Christian Cage and Nick Wayne that much. And it's starting to feel stale. I mean, it's really, really frustrating how they booked this, because this match should feel big time. And to me, it just doesn't. Anthony, what are your thoughts heading into this 6-man tag?
Visually, and I think I've said this before, I love the visual of, Sting being one generation, Adam Copeland's the next, Darby's the current. Visually, I think that's really cool. I really think this match is a placeholder because they're trying to stretch out to do the eventual Adam Copeland Christian one-on-one match. I think this is to tease it, or to at least give you a little bit of it, because I'm sure they'll have at least a little bit of interaction in the ring. As a whole, it should be an entertaining match. There's enough talent in this match that they should be able to pull off at least a decent match. The question that would be, Ric Flair has posted on social media that he's going to be there in Sting's corner. Is he going to be a liability? Are they going to take Flair out, which distracts, Adam to take the pinfall, or Darby, or something to that effect? I do think the heels may go over on this one, but Sting won't take the pinfall. If the faces do end up winning it, it's probably Nick Wayne, probably taking the loss, or Luchasaurus. Christian won't. I think that's pretty much a solid. But I think this is really designed to build to possibly World's End. Maybe that's when Adam Copeland and Christian face off for the first time in AEW one-on-one. That would be my guess. That would be the plan. And I think this is kind of just a, speed bump to that, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we've spoken before at length about AEW kind of making stories a bit longer than they need to be, or at least, pushing matches too far back. And I think this is another case of that, where they've decided, like you said, maybe they're going to do the Adam Copeland match at World's End. So, okay, well, we got this month, we'll do this dream match this month, and just have the story go a little bit slow. And because of that, it has felt a little bit stale. But like you said, there's so much talent in this match. I'm sure it'll be a good one. It's crazy to think Nick Wayne, like how young he is, right? This guy's so young. He's 18 years old. And he is in a match with Christian Cage, Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting. I mean, that is a crazy thing to get your head around. But now let's move on and let's talk about a tag team match, right? We have an established tag team with the Young Bucks taking on a close friend of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, who's teaming with an old rival, Chris Jericho. This storyline is another one which I kind of feel like they could have built up a little bit better on TV. I'm very excited to see it tomorrow night. I think it's going to be very, very exciting, but I do think they could have built it up a bit better and just made it feel a bit more important, because right now it's kind of not like that, not like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega's friendship's on the line at all. It's more just like, I don't know, like, oh yeah, well, we'll get one up on you. It's not enough for me, but I do think the match will be very, very good. And I also do feel like the Young Bucks are going to lose this, unfortunately. Numero 1 Superfly agrees, saying he's got the Young Bucks winning. Plus, you can't make them lose when they just turned heel. I mean, that's another good point, too. They turned them heel in their own hometown. That was a wild move, but it did work. It did work. Josh, what are your thoughts heading into this one? Who do you think will be walking out the winner?
Yeah, Ben, I definitely agree with you to start off about the build-up. I mean, this match has four of the biggest stars or people in AEW in the history of AEW so far. We have Omega, the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho, the four, some would say the staples of AEW, of course, with some other names. And I feel like the buildup was kind of just fast. It seemed like a late addition to the card, and they definitely could have done more on television besides maybe a few backstage segments. But anyways, in ring, I feel like with this kind of talent, we're promised great action. It's going to be a fun one for sure. I'm very stoked to see this one. And, this whole Omega being away from the elite kind of thing is definitely intriguing. And as you said, we saw the heel turn, this past Wednesday when the Bucks took on Commander and Penta. We saw, I believe Nick Jackson kicked Commander and Penta below the belt, which was kind of like the first kind of evidence, like, okay, they may be turning heel. And then also we saw, Nick hit Commander with the Judas effect, which was a message sent directly to Chris Jericho. And, I feel like when I watched that, I kind of realized what's going to happen tomorrow night. And I think, we saw the heel turn in their own hometown. I think we're going to see a complete full blown heel turn tomorrow. I would absolutely love to see the Bucks win here and even cheat to win. I would love to see, someone, Nick or Matt, hit Kenny below the belt, hit him with, brass knuckles to get the win. I would absolutely love to see that because, this whole time we've had the Bucks kind of telling Kenny, hey, you can't trust Chris. He's going to turn your back on you. He was your biggest rival. But what if this whole time really it was the Bucks that Kenny couldn't trust, his former best friends forever? So, I would love to see it go that way. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but I think that'd be a great way to really turn the Bucks heel and have a little Omega versus Bucks kind of heel face program going on. And the stakes are high for Jericho and Omega as well, because at the end of the night, they're either going to have tag team titles or they can't tag again anymore. So the stakes are definitely high. And, I think that ultimately it's going to be a great match. I'm really looking forward to it. Great action, definitely ahead of us. And it's definitely a match to be excited for.
I think, and I just remembered it while you were talking, Josh, right? I think one of the issues that I personally have with this match is it kind of feels like the exact same storyline that they did with Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks a few years ago. And I'm just kind of tired of seeing this elite, feuds between each other. We've seen them for years now. I just like a good 24 months, right, where Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks are just all on the same page. All on the same page, and then maybe you could rerun Omega and Hangman Page, one of the best feuds in the history of this company, or something like that, because honestly, I'm just tired of seeing it. But I do think this match, like you said, Josh, is going to have a lot of great action in it, and that I am certainly excited for. Now, let's move on and let's talk about the AEW. Actually, before we do that, we got quite a nice comment here. We got a comment from Soul who's saying, congratulations, lads, on 70k. Been a good journey with you lot at the beginning of the year, and great to see it continue and rise with you guys. Cheers to 80k. Shout out to you, Soul. Thank
Cheers,
you very,
Soul.
very
Thanks,
much.
Thanks, Soul.
And now, let's move on to the AEW International Championship. Of course, a few months ago at AEW All In, so AEW All Out, Clark was there in Chicago. We saw this absolute beautiful match between Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. I have been a critic of Orange Cassidy at times. That match was cinema, as the kids are saying nowadays in the internet wrestling community. It really was, right? It really was a fantastic match, a fantastic story on so many levels. I loved it. Moxley then faced Phoenix. He got injured. Phoenix became champion, and then Orange Cassidy, for a reason I will never understand, won that championship back. I'm still not over it. I'm still very annoyed about it because that Orange Cassidy storyline, it was going somewhere cool, and then they just ruined it by giving him the title back. But they're winning it back. Orange Cassidy, Jon Moxley again. The thing that made this so great the first time wasn't just the in-ring action, it was the story. And this story this time, it's not the same story, right? They've tried their best to build it up. They did obviously a great angle with Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada. So it's not actually at fault of AEW building this specific match, but it's just they shouldn't have put the belt back on Cassidy, right? This match is not going to top their last one, but I still think it'll be, a solid mid-card match, but it's so obvious John Moxley's winning as well. Oh gosh, I don't know how to feel about this one, especially when I loved their last match so much. Numero One Superfly is saying that he'd rather see Orange Cassidy win this match because both guys need to move on and do something else besides facing each other. Not their fault as injuries hindered this story. That's true, but they just shouldn't have put the belt back on Orange. Made no sense to me. They should have kept it on Phoenix and then done the rivalry between Moxley and Phoenix and, blurred the lines between reality and fiction a little bit too. That was a missed storyline they could have very easily done. But Clark, what is your take? Who do you think will be walking out of LA this weekend as international champion?
My stoke meter is really high for this one. I'm actually really fired up about it. And I hear you on the story thing, but like Numero One Superfly said, the injuries were an issue. Now we're here. It's time to go. And it's the rematch. And I was there and it was electric. And this one will be electric. It'll be almost impossible to live up, like you said. But sequels are difficult, but it doesn't mean you don't go pay the money to see them. And this is one that I'm so fired up to see because what they delivered in Chicago in September was absolute magic. I have no doubt in the LA Forum this weekend they'll do so once again. Maybe not to quite the same level, but if it's close, that's good enough for me. I have Moxley going over 2, but a surprise Orange Cassidy win wouldn't shock me as much as you'd think. I was more on the fence here. Why not let Orange win? Somehow. Why not? Let him pull it out. See, pull a rabbit out of the hat. Why not? Then it's 1-1. And we talk about storytelling all the time in AEW. Now there's a real long-term story to finish telling. Well, it's 1-1. And if he can get one over on Moxley, now we're talking. So while my pick is I'm afraid that they're going to have Moxley go over, and I won't hate that, but there is a stone left unturned if Cassidy doesn't go over in this one. And I would love to actually see that. So where I guess the best way I could quantify this one is my brain says Mox, my heart says Cassidy. Either way, I'm excited about this match beyond belief.
I almost think that if they are going to do what you just said, right, I kind of think they should do it where Orange Cassidy wins the match. Not a squash by any means, but he wins it in about 5 minutes with maybe a roll up or something like that, or even just an orange punch out of nowhere. So it just leaves Moxley in the ring absolutely shocked,
Stunned,
saying it was a fluke. I beat you before. That's still my title, and that would be where I'd be like, okay, I'm down for it.
Yes.
But if it is just a great match and then Orange Cassidy wins, I don't know, because I kind of like the story, dare I say, that, Moxley has the upper hand on Cassidy, and Cassidy's then got to go and rebuild himself. He's lost his confidence, he's lost his, smile. Well, he's not really got a smile, but, he's lost his persona. Maybe he can't even be bothered to carry the backpack at all anymore. Maybe it's just dangling in his hand or something. He cares even less. That would be an interesting one. He enters a state of depression, and the best friends have to be good friends to him and get him out of that slump, and train him back up again. And then that's when you do it.
Not a bad idea in the least. I don't mind that at all. I would say though, for Orange, if he's gonna lose, it's got to be competitive.
If he loses, it's gotta be, yeah.
It's got to be competitive, especially to be down 2-0 because the first was such a classic. But that's where I think it's kind of funny. You made a great point, and we've talked a bunch about storytelling, right? We asked for more long-term stories like Swerve and Hangman, but then we're also like, why are you guys stretching these ones so much?
Yeah, but this one wasn't a long-term story. It was a thrown together one.
And I agree, right? But the first one was. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is a thing in wrestling. I'm never going to complain about people don't forget. So Moxley, Orange Cassidy 2 being 2 months later, given the Phoenix stuff, I understand it got muddy for sure. But to complain about Cassidy and Moxley 2, it's that was the summer. The story's still there. The rivalry is still there. It is the rematch. And as long as it's billed as such, I'm much less critical of booking wise than other thrown together. To your point, right? There are other matches that I would say are much more thrown together than Cassidy Moxley. They main evented the flagship show
It's
a
true, but
month and a half ago.
They started, they spent a year with that Orange Cassidy story.
Yeah.
Building him up, making him feel like he matters, making him, being the defending champion. But his body was breaking on him. He couldn't manage under the pressure that he was, putting himself under. And in the end, Moxley beat him. Well, then Orange Cassidy started spiraling. He started seeming a bit depressed and all of that. Then suddenly he's fighting again and he beats Phoenix. That's what I didn't like about this, right? You told this story for over a year and then you just threw it out.
But I do still think the idea of him and Moxley, like that part of the story is still there, right? That chapter is not over. Of course it is. Especially given the standing ovation to end that show, right? Nobody didn't want to see a rematch between Mox and Orange. Would we have done it differently? Probably, right? But you can't predict what happened with Mox and Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, they should have given it to somebody else. They should have kept it on Phoenix, even, to be honest.
But now we're talking to like extend another story that, right? You can tell.
No, because then the Orange Cassidy storyline, which is a much longer storyline,
can build
is continuing and isn't ruined. Yeah, he's depressed. He's starting to get better, and then you do the John Moxley. So John Moxley wins it back off Phoenix, and then you do John Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, maybe at World's End or even the first pay-per-view of what'll be Revolution. That's how I would have done it. I really think that they kind of just panicked. I feel that this just screams a panic move to me.
I think Moxley was meant to go over. I think we all think Moxley was meant to go over.
Absolutely.
In New York, right? And so if Moxley does go over, then they're going to continue to tell this Orange story with John anyway, I think. Otherwise, they wouldn't have booked this match.
Planned.
I think once they realized that Mox wasn't out long term, they were like, no, we just go back to the original plan. And that's a blip. You're right.
But it had to be the other way around. It had to be. It doesn't make sense otherwise. This is what frustrates me about it, because they had the Orange Cassidy storyline. I've said it before. I'll quickly wrap up. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I didn't like it at the start. I then slowly started to like it. David really sold me on it, and then I ended up loving it, right? And I was loving to see how it progressed, and then they just hit the panic button and just sped it up. And they could still save it, right? I'm not saying it's ruined, but they unnecessary. It's like one of those things, like if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, like I am, right? Some of the seasons are so good, and then they just mess it up in the middle, but then they save it at the end, and then you try and tell people, oh, it's great at the end, you should watch it, and they're like, nope, I just couldn't get past the middle. And I think that kind of sums this situation up, to be honest. But now let's move on and let's talk about another championship. Let's talk about the Tag Team Championships, the AEW World Tag Team Championships, as Ricky Starks will be teaming up with, of course, the other half of the Tag Team Champions, Big Bill, to take on LFI, FTR, Malachi Black, and Brody Lee in a fatal four-way tag team match. Now, we've all been critical the last few months about the AEW tag team division, but this match is 4 tag teams in it who feel awfully important, and I really think any one of these 4 teams could win this match, and for that reason, I'm hyped. I'm invested into it, and I also just think it's going to be a banger about in the ring. Would I have maybe built it up a little bit more? Yes, but do I think they can do that on Collision tonight? Yes, I do. How many people will be watching is another matter. But, Anthony, who do you reckon will be walking out of LA as tag team champions?
This is one of those interesting ones because this is like the only match on the card that was built exclusively on Collision. I like the idea of this match. Unlike, I forget which pay-per-view it was, but months ago they had like a 4-way tag team title match out of nowhere. I forget the Guns. I think it was when the Guns were AEW tag champs. They kind of came out of nowhere. This one is interesting because FTR is really the only face team in this. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, they're building up LFI, but they're heels. Are they going to take them off of Starks and Big Bill, which Big Bill is without a doubt the worst name. No matter how many times I talk about it, that still is such a horrible name for him. I think weirdly, it could go any which way of this thing, but I weirdly think Starks and Big Bill are going to somehow pull this out, because I think there's too much drama involved with LFI, FTR, and the House of Black that they'll somehow, Ricky will sneak by and retain.
Yeah, no, I do. I do feel the same way, to be honest, Anthony. I am going for a retain as well, but numero one Superfly wants LFI to be the ones to win those titles, and I would not complain about that either. They're probably not established enough yet, but every now and then in wrestling, I do feel you can have an unknown win the titles, and for the titles to elevate the talent, and then for the talent to elevate the title afterwards, right? They shouldn't be done all the time, but I feel like in some cases you can do that. It kind of did happen with the Guns, to be fair, in this tag team division not too long ago as well. But now let's move on and let's talk about the women's division. Let's talk Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm. Listen, again, another division we've been critical of in the last year. In fact, since AEW began, was the women's division, but it has gotten so much better lately. And the reason for that, I've said it on pretty much every show I've been on lately, is, they've now got characters in the women's division, and there is no better character than Toni Storm. And there is zero doubt in my mind that Toni Storm should win tomorrow night. Full Gear. She should become the new AEW women's champion, because I really think she could take that title, that women's title, to a new level. Because let's face it, at the minute, she's one of the most exciting things on AEW television. But Josh, what do you think? Who do you think will be walking out women's champion?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a hot take, but I'm just gonna say my opinion. So, Toni Storm, you said it yourself. She is one of the best characters on AEW, male or female. On the women's side, she is absolutely killing it. I think the best character in the division right now. All the backstage segments are awesome. Even like the black and white camera when she's on, it's great. Everything about it is awesome. Now, over the last 4 months, no women's champion has had the belt for longer than 2 months or so. And people are very critical of the AEW women's division. And a lot of that is because maybe people think that Tony and the creative are kind of playing hot potato with this AEW Women's Championship. It seems like it's kind of just moving to next person, to next person, to next person. And, I think Storm's character is excellent, but I think that maybe the title has changed too many times, and maybe let's take that chance to stop playing hot potato and let's give Sheeta some stability as a champion for a little bit. I think if Storm wins here, then it's kind of like, then what? I mean, there's so many great women she could go into a great program with. But then again, I think they may have hit a roadblock if that happens. I would actually rather see Sheeta win. Then we kind of see a really, really angry Toni Storm, because we've seen her character. She's an unbelievable actor. She could really, she could get angry and very, very upset. And I would love to see that indignant Toni Storm. And it would certainly provide for some unbelievable television, a lot of views, and everyone would love to see it. And then maybe build that Storm character even more than already is to then win that title. I kind of want to see both stability from the AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida. I don't want to see her just lose the belt again. She's only been holding it for however long she's been holding it, not long at all. And I kind of want to see this angry side of Toni Storm develop on television, whether it's Dynamite or Collision, and then see her win the belt. I think that my official prediction is that Shida's going to retain her belt, which, I'm still off about, because I kind of want to see Toni Storm win, like you said, but I'm still about the stability, and seeing Toni Storm get really angry, I think would be great television. So I'm kind of on the fence here, but I think Shida should retain her belt. And I think it also could happen due to Mariah May, the Toni Storm fangirl, who I think maybe could unintentionally cost Toni the match. And then that could set something small up between them, or, however it goes. But I personally believe that Shida should win this match.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a fair point. That really, really is. You are right. The title has been hot potato in, but I'm gonna be completely honest here. I'm a big Sheeta fan. I just don't think she's over enough as champion right now. She's the champion of that women's division, and there's about 5 stars who, in my opinion, feel bigger than her. And 3 of those stars are in another match. And that other match is the AEW TBS Championship match, as Chris Statlander will be defending the title against Julia Hart and Sky Blue Julia Hart, she's had phenomenal character development lately, and so has Sky Blue. But I do think Julia Hart should be walking out of this match as champion. I think now is her time. And then you can do Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and you can do a really big feud between them. Maybe even, take it to a steel cage. I wouldn't mind that. Clark, what are your thoughts?
It's 100% Julia Hart's time. You're spot on. I've got Julia Hart in a landslide. That's not how it's going to go down, but use the mist, use it effectively, win the match, win the title. She deserves it. She's earned it. How far she's come from the first time I saw her with the Varsity Blondes. I mean, to think about that, like, it is just absurd, right? And she's done an amazing job to build to this point. Statlander is a great wrestler in her own right. I don't know if she takes the pin or Sky Blue takes the pin, but it's one of those two. And it's Julia all the way in my eyes.
Yeah, well, we certainly agree on that one then. But one which I'm not sure if we all will agree on, is the AEW World Championship match between MJF and Jay White. This is a feud which feels like it's been going on for so long now, a feud which at times has been pushed to the side for the Devil storyline, but I do believe that these two are going to deliver. I've watched Jay White in New Japan for years. I've been critical at times. I said in New Japan that he'd fit the American style more. He'd fit the WWE style more. The AEW style, I had concerns when he got into the company. I really, really did. Because he wrestles such a slow pace. And that's not a criticism. I actually think it's great. But with the AEW crowds, I'm not sure if that's always going to get as over as it could have in another company, right? But that's not what we're going to talk about. What we are going to talk about is Jay White needs to deliver in this match, right? He's been given this opportunity, this main event opportunity, just a few months after signing with a promotion. It's huge. It really is. They pushed him very, very quickly. And I am hoping that these two put on a classic because they both have it in them. We know how good MJF is in the ring when he wants to be. Let's cut out the kangaroo kicks and all of that nonsense. And let's just have MJF, Jay White. I think it's going to be a very, very fun one. But in the end, I'm going to be predicting a cash-in from Damian Priest. No, I'm only joking. I know that's my usual thing, was predicting a cash-in. But no, I do believe MJF will be walking out as the AEW champion. But maybe the Devil could screw him over. Clark, what are your thoughts on this one?
Don't you take the kangaroo kick away from me. What? That just threw the whole thing off for me. I mean, I can't even. The kangaroo kick is the most over move in professional wrestling. And it's effective. Have you seen the way he throws it when he gets in the stance? And do you know how hard kangaroos actually kick? He's developed the technique. This is a guy who's got an effective move, and you're just trying to take it away. And I'm not cool with that. I agree that Jay White needs to deliver. I think that Jay White, pacing-wise, is the perfect opponent for MJF. I think this match will be outstanding. I think it's going to be a banger after banger after banger. It's going to be, they're going to play all the right notes all the way. Max goes over. Come on. He's the best in the biz. Max is going over. And Jay White's going to look great. And then we'll have a devil mask tease. Lights go out. Everybody goes out and parties in LA. Ball game.
Everybody gets in the Arubas and goes for a party in Clark's house. How about that one? But well, Clark, you're not actually in LA, so we're not even in Orange County that weekend.
It's a long drive.
But let's now look in the comment section, because Soul has a scenario, and Soul's scenario is that MJF will beat Jay White, Joe Wardlow and Strong circle the ring, black out, the Devil appears with an open door behind him to see a knocked out Tony Khan behind him, and then the screen goes out. Well, I mean, if you're right on that one, that's been a wild one. If you're right on it, fair enough. I mean, you did successfully predict the Four Pillars one earlier this year. We've also got, wait, I've got the wrong comment here. We've also got a comment from Numero One Superfly saying MJF wins the match, and maybe the Devil attacks MJF afterwards, and the Devil reveals himself around World's End, and it's either Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, or the biggest troll of all time, Tony Khan. Of course, a prediction which Anthony called before anybody did on his article on WrestlingRepublic.com. Of course, go check that out if you haven't already. We've got Eric Novak in the chat as well saying, hey guys, congrats on 70k. I'm a little late to the party. Well, welcome to the party, Novak. And also, make sure you go and check out his interview with Jacob Fatu over on the All Real Wrestling podcast channel. That really was a good interview. But, Anthony, what about you? Who do you think will be walking out of AEW as world champion?
Well, first I want to say I didn't necessarily predict Tony Khan to be it. I said I fantasy booked how they could do it to make it do a maximum impact. But in this situation, you're looking at two of the best guys in the business today. MJF will go down as a GOAT when everything is said and done. Jay White is a phenomenal talent. Realistically, though, MJF's not losing that title at this show at all. The earliest I think he would lose it is at World's End, especially if they want to, did he resign? Did he not resign? If they want to play that up, World's End is the logical choice to do it if they're going to do it. I don't think the devil will be revealed. I think they will tease it like they've been doing. I don't think the devil is going to get revealed until World's End, or at least maybe to the build up towards it, but I wouldn't reveal it until World's End. I would have him face the devil, have the devil win at World's End, and then they reveal who it is. But realistically, it's going to be an amazing match. I wasn't overly crazy with some of the choices they made during the build-up. I really thought Jay should have leaned more into, I know it was you behind the devil mask. They did it a couple times, but it was like almost an afterthought. The main focus was, I stole your belt. I stole your belt. Like, that's not really where the focus should be. The focus should be, you jumped me. You and your goons jumped me in the back. Like, that's where it really should have gone, but it was more on, I have physical possession of the belt. I thought that was the only mistake. But like I said, it's going to be a great match. MJF's going over.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that, and I agree with what you said about the build of it as well. But Souls made another bet, because if we remember last year, he bet that if I believe it was if Jeff Jarrett didn't win the TNT title, then he'd shave his, or international championship, then he would shave his hair, and that did obviously end up happening. Well, Soul is now saying that if the devil is Tony Khan, he will dye his hair any color of Anthony's choosing for All In next year. Well,
blonde.
Anthony,
I
Anthony,
was literally thinking bleach blonde myself. Or
I've got
pink
something
or
better.
something.
I've got something better, right? You get him to do it the colors of the English flag. That's the worst punishment imaginable for a Scotsman.
That would take like 4 hours. I think bleach blonde's funnier because that just takes like a couple hours, and then the next thing you know, he looks like.
Yeah, but you guys are forgetting that every person around my age in the UK has bleach blonde hair. He'll just fit right in.
Yeah, but keep in mind, if Soul had if Soul has the fro, it'd be way funnier with
frosted tips.
Oh, that's true.
You guys frosting tips these days?
All of it. Like, literally, I'm like one of the only people in my class in uni who doesn't have bad hair.
That's a tough look.
Well, no, let's...
Kids are paying out of pocket for that stuff. Jeez Louise. Grow up.
Well, Josh, what about you? Have you thought about dyeing your hair, or who will walk out as AEW World Champion?
Nice transition, Ben.
No, I don't want to dye my hair, but I would love to see Soul dye his. And yeah, I think frosted tips is the way to go. But anyways, to the match, to what we were talking about, the match should be excellent. There's no other way to put it. It is two unbelievable talents going head to head. I'm very happy there's no stipulation. This seems like a match that doesn't need a stipulation. Just straight up for the championship, a good old-fashioned one-on-one match. It should be an unbelievable match. And just like you said, this rivalry seems like it's been going on for the last 2 years. So it seems like the match is finally happening. I feel like this match has been announced forever. So it's crazy that tomorrow it's actually happening, because the rivalry has just been going on for so long. It feels like I don't even know when it started. Honestly, I don't even remember. But anyways, I love both of these talents. I am definitely seeing a 5-star match in the making right here. It should be a great match. On one side, I would perfectly be fine with Jay White taking this belt and Bullet Club Gold, and then the Guns taking the ROH belts, and then the Bullet Club Gold running all of AEW. But then again, I'm way more on the side of MJF retaining his belt, taking it to World's End, which I think is going to happen. And, I think that the reason I'm not too huge on this Jay White thing is that, he has Samoa Joe, he has Wardlow, maybe even Adam Cole wanting a shot at this belt. It's too early to just end that story. They've gotta go to all of those stories, all three or even more of those stories. They've gotta, keep at that before MJF loses that belt. And, I'm sure we'll see a devil tease. And other than that, should be a great match. My official prediction, MJF is going to retain. Definitely going to be some devil interference. I don't think they're going to reveal the devil, just like you guys said. We'll definitely get a tease. I did like your prediction with the Tony Khan being knocked out. That'd be kind of crazy. I would love to see that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that'd be great. Either way, should be a banger match. I am so excited for this match. 5-star in the making, and yeah.
Ooh. Well, I think we're in unanimous agreement that, MJF will be retaining, but will we agree on who the surprise will be? Tony Khan has promised a surprise, a new wrestler debuting, a pro he describes them as, and somebody who all AEW fans, or nearly all AEW fans, respect. Now, there's a few different options here, of course. Mercedes Moné, she's out injured right now. We saw her at All In. Another option, we know his contract's up early next year, Will Ospreay, but how on earth could that happen? It would be historic if, Tony Khan signed him on a pre-contract or something like that. That would be historic if it does end up being Will Ospreay. Another one, we know, of course, recently Dolph Ziggler got released from WWE, but he has a 90-day, as far as we know, non-compete clause, so that would be crazy as well. But there's also another, and that other one is Ronda Rousey. We know she's, a free agent now. We know that she competed last night at an independent show. Could she be the one showing up? Very, very quickly, I'm going to go around everybody and just give a very brief answer of who you think it will be. Josh, I'll go to you first. Who do you think will be debuting?
Yeah, I don't know all the technicalities with all the contracts, but I am going to go with the Ariel Sass and Will Ospreay. I think the wording of that tweet where it said respected by all AEW fans, I think kind of led me to believe that he's really the only option that all AEW fans have seen. So I'm going with Will Ospreay.
Fair enough. I mean, that did to me kind of seem like how the wording was too. The one interesting thing is usually his tweets about a surprise are gender specific. This one was they. So it wasn't gender specific, which maybe that's what made me think it could be Mercedes Moné. But Anthony, what about you?
The only way it would be Ospreay is if they would have to buy out his New Japan, what's left, and then sign him as well. They'd have to do both. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's either going to be him or Mercedes would be the two. Anybody other than those two, I think may be a disappointment. Like I think somebody said Sami Callihan, but honestly, that wouldn't qualify in my opinion. And I don't think Dolph's non-compete is up yet.
Yeah, I think that would be boos, to be honest with you, or who's, I should say, if Sami Callihan debuts. Because as much as we know Sami Callihan and as much as we love Sami Callihan, we forget sometimes the AEW audience we joke about casual fans, but they are a lot more casual compared to us. But Clark, last but not least, what about you? Who do you think that it will be?
I'm going full Jerry Maguire and Johnny Manziel. Show me the Monet, my friends. No doubt. It's got to be Mercedes. It's now or never. Not never. I hope it's not never. I hope it's now. I'm just saying, man, that is the play. That's the ace up your sleeve. Show me the Monet, Mercedes Monet for the win, and then paint that town red like we talked about a few weeks ago.
Oh, I mean, that will certainly be that would be a great signing if that was the case. I mean, it would require them giving the women's division more TV time, right? Because let's not take it away from the likes of Toni Storm, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Chris Statlander, who've all been doing a fantastic job lately. But if they do get Mercedes Moné, that is a statement, a bank statement, some might say. But no, I do think it'll be interesting no matter who it is. But yeah, I agree with you, Anthony. It's got to be either Will Ospreay or Mercedes Moné. But the Will Ospreay contract situation, I mean, why would you buy somebody out of a contract unless it's a pre-contract agreement? I mean, maybe New Japan were like, well, we'd prefer him to go to AEW than WWE, so maybe we'll just do it now. But I don't know.
I think if they did the buyout, if New Japan's looking at going, we're going to lose him anyway, we'll take the money, and then we still may get him for some shows. But the only way I would think Tony Khan would do that, the only smart way to do that is you already have an agreement in place with him that he's going to sign. Because if you're just buying him till February, I don't know.
No, it's got to be that it's got to be that it's a permanent contract.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, wherever you're watching it, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, Twitter, or sorry, now known as X, please just give it a like, retweet, whatever, subscribe, whatever it is. Follow on all these platforms, a cheeky 5 stars on Spotify, because it helps us out massively. It really helps support us every day. And thank you to everybody in the comments. We will be back the same time tomorrow to review Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you to Clark, thank you to Anthony, thank you to Josh for joining me on this great prediction show today. And let's see tomorrow night how our predictions go. Thank you guys. We will see you. Enjoy your evenings. Peace.